Baruch. Boker Tov, everyone. So here in Siman Nun Vav of the Shemesh again, the Rabbi Shalom Asas quotes the Gemara Masechet Shabbat, the famous rule. The Torah says, "Lo ta'aseh melacha." It's talking about Shabbat. You're not allowed to do work on Shabbat. So asiyah, the asiyah of melacha, the doing of work, is what's asur. Grama, causing work to happen, is allowed on Shabbat. So if you cause something to now that there's going to be a melacha that's going to happen, then that's allowed on Shabbat. So for instance, let's say there's a fire. Let's say there's a fire on Shabbat. Now you're not allowed to put out a fire. Now, of course, if it's an emergency, if it's a threat, if it's put out the fire. But let's say you have a little bit of time. There's a little fire. There's a little bit of time. But if you leave it, it's going to be destructive. If you could really assess that, I'm just giving it as an example. So you take, let's say, cups of water, put it around the fire in the cups, and in 2 minutes the fire is going to spread. It's going to burn those little plastic cups, and then the water is going to spill on the fire. It's going to put out the fire. So what you did was you did a grama. You caused the fire to go out, but all I did was place cups of water over here. That's all I did. I didn't go and directly extinguish the fire. I put cups over here. The fire came on its own, and it extinguished. Even though my intention was to extinguish the fire, that's called a grama. That's called a cause. That's called a cause. When I cause it to happen. So there's certain cases. Now, let me give you examples of causes that are not allowed. For instance, you're not allowed to trap on Shabbat, trap an animal. Tzad. So let's say I see an animal and I jump on it and I trap it. That's, of course, not allowed on Shabbat. So let's say, okay, I'll set up a trap. Put food, I'll put a little thing and a thing, and once it goes in there, it's going to knock over the stick and it's going to get stuck in under this trap that I made. But that is a cause. But that cause is trapping itself. So that's not a cause. You're doing the act of trapping right there. Or for instance, I have a hot plate, right? So on Shabbat. So I warm things up. But now let me put raw food on this in a pan, and it's going to be on this hot plate, and then it will cook, mamash cook from 0 to 100. We know we're only allowed to warm things that were already cooked. Let me do things that's not called a cause of bishul, because that is bishul itself. Bishul is when I take something from raw. It takes time. It takes time to do bishul. So that's not called a cause. That's called actually being mevashel. So with this in mind, first of all, when it comes to using this grama, I'm causing something, it has to be, well grounded. It has to be, because to discern if it's exactly a grama or not is a question. So here he has a case with regards to timers on Shabbat. So if you've seen manual timers, where you have, let's say, this thing, you put it into the plug, and you take your item, whatever you want to, you plug it into that. And now this thing, they have all these little plastic little ticks that you move and you put in before Shabbat to decide when you want this item to go on and to go off. You understand? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Those manual, right? Manual things that you tick in, the little timer. Exactly. Okay. So now let's say the following. I have this to set to, let's say it's on right now. It's going to go off at 7 p.m. So it's going to go off at 7 p.m. Right now it's 5 p.m. Can I click it more from now so it stays on longer? So what I'm doing really is I'm causing it to stay on longer. All I did was a click. Now those clicks again are manual. It's not electric clicks, right? Little plastic clicks. But it's putting that the lever is going to hit that spot at a later time. It's going to turn it off at a later time. Or if let's say it's let's say it's 5 p.m. now. It's going to go off at 7. I want it to go off earlier. So I'll put the clicks up so that it goes off at 6 p.m. as opposed to going off at 7 p.m. Okay. So the general psak, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef and many others, they're not as lenient as Rabbi Shalom Asas, but what they say is as follows. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Ashkenazim as well, is that what it is now, let's say it's on. Let's say my item is on, and it's going to go off at 7. If it's on right now and you want to keep it going on longer, that's allowed. But to get it off shorter, that's not allowed. So whatever the state of it's on, let's say it's off right now, and I want it to be off for longer, that's okay. But to bring it on earlier, that's not okay. So that's what they say. Basically, whatever the state it is now, if it's on, you could do some clicks to keep it on longer. If it's off, you could do some clicks to keep it off for longer. But you can't do the opposite way around. Rabbi Shlomo Sas argues that the difference is not so clear, and therefore putting so the difference is that so Rabbi Shlomo Sas says, right, the keeping it on for it's in a state of on right now. So Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, etc. says, I'm keeping it as it is. It's on. I'm putting it on for longer. But now, Rabbi Shlomo says goes even more lenient and says, if it's on, it's going to go off at 7. I could push it to go off at 6. Now, because it's going to go off anyways, so that's where he goes a little bit more lenient. Now, you can't, of course, turn it off right away. Of course, that's asur. And you got to be very careful because sometimes you do those things, the thing moves and it could go off right away. You be very careful. So Rabbi Shlomo Sas goes a little more lenient, that even when it's on right now, it's going to go off in 5 hours from now, I can make it go off in 3 hours from now. That Rabbi Ovadia Yosef and the others don't agree with, but he defends that it's a grama, doesn't matter either way. And Rabbi Ovadia Yosef and the others say as I said in the first way around. Now, so psak lehalacha, if you really need a situation, I need it, like say it's the air conditioning, right? It's too cold in here. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that the air conditioning and you have that timer type of thing. I know from Israel, I say air conditioning because here all of our air conditionings are, you can't really do that. You can't do this. It's already electric. But the ones in Israel, they have those plug-in ones with that thing blowing on you at the top of the wall, right? So, and it's plugged in to the wall literally, and people put a timer on that. I'm just remembering from when I was living in Israel. Now, sometimes it gets too cold or whatever it is, so I want to bring it in early. So in cases where you really need, I would say rely on Rabbi Shlomo Sas. In cases where it's not as needed, then you could do like the other poskim of the situation is it's on, you could keep it on by moving the clicks. If it's off, you can keep it off by moving the clicks as well. Hope that was clear. I think it was, and that's just a little bit about the law of Gerama on Shabbat. Sorry? So once it's, no, that's what you're saying. According to, no, you can't put it on. No. If the whole thing was off and all the clicks were off, no, that's going to be putting it on. Meaning the whole thing is that it's going to go on anyways. What? No, so that's the thing. 1 second. Off, if it's off right now, but it's going on in 5 hours from now, then that's okay. That's what we're saying. It's going to go on anyways.
I make it in 3 hours. Instead of 5 o'clock that I put it, and I move it backward and put it 2 o'clock.
To go on.
Yeah.
So that's Rabbi Shlomo Sas is leniency. And that's, again, if you really need. If you really need, that's that leniency. Rabbi Yosef says, no, once it's off, the only thing you can do is keep it off longer. If it's on, you keep it on longer. That's Rabbi Ovadia Yosef and the others. Yeah. Okay, that's it for today. We want to wish Eli a Nesiyat Tova. Shilech Shalom, Yachzor Shalom. Pray for us in the Holy Land, B'ezrat Hashem, and may Hashem protect your boys there, B'ezrat Hashem. Chazak u'baruch for all that they're doing. Mincha tonight at 7:10. Gemara Shur tonight at 8:30, B'ezrat Hashem. Have a good day, everyone.